Hey, well, I guess we should have had an opening.
Was there no opening?
I went right into the opening without the.
You went right. You opened without
the video opening.
And you didn't do your dance?
I did not do my dance.
That's usually when I'm doing the shares. When you're doing your dance, that's my signal that we need to get started.
Hey, folks, this is Openless Tuesday.
The man goes to Biloxi for the weekend and comes back and has lost all timeline. That's what happens. You know, you get in a casino and there's no clock. So you lose sense of everything.
Yeah, there's no daylight, there's no windows.
Nerd guy, tech guy goes and plays some slots and gets lost in all vectors of time-space continuum. Well, so what's up, Emerald Coast? It is Tuesday.
It is Tuesday.
It's now June. Since we last saw everybody, it was May, but we took the weekend and gave you an extra day to go enjoy some family time. And I was remodeling a ceiling as I prepped to make pizza.
Yeah, you got your place, and you're getting it sort of ready.
Yeah, I got a couple weeks, but we'll be making some pizza. I'll be feeding you during the show. How about that?
We can't. There's no P in the day of the week to say Friday Pizza Day or something like that.
Why not? Just
but it is a lunchtime show.
Every day is pizza day.
We could be introducing a new flavor of pizza.
You got any calendar days for us?
I do.
Okay,
but.
And shameless plugs. All right, stick with the routine.
But before shameless plug, if you're watching us live, we are monitoring the comments. And since today's show is about nothing, we are open to discussion.
Go ahead. Fill it in. So why is it about nothing? What does that mean?
Yeah, it means that there's some news. We don't know what we want to talk about. You want to say
Seinfeld. Say it. Get it out of the way.
All right. It is a Seinfeld episode.
It's a show about nothing.
It's a show about nothing. And what do we talk about?
But we got a lot.
A lot of nothing.
A lot of nothing.
But if you've got something of interest or you think would be of interest to those watching or whatever, feel free to give a comment and let us know what you think or what you'd like to know what we think about. That could
we had a
be
busy
opening
weekend,
up
RJ. While you were playing in the casino, we had a very peaceful and very well-represented march through Fort Walton Beach. Kind of in support of what's going on nationally, which is the big controversy and big topic and big issue. We've had pandemic life continues on. The town was packed for the weekend. It was busy. And so go ahead and talk about some of our shameless plugs because hopefully if your business wants to come be part of our shameless plugs, we'll talk about you.
Even though I wasn't there Sunday, I wasn't in the area over here, it's nice to hear about that. And there's been, like in Pensacola, I know also over there at Graffiti Bridge, that they've also been having some very peaceful demonstrations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then from what I gathered from the news yesterday, I didn't have a lot of time, but I did see that for the most part, during the daytime, things were peaceful. And I think in Atlanta, they actually asked to take a knee, and as a show of solidarity,
right?
Even the police took a knee.
And a lot of my opinion on that.
And then the instigators came in.
Well, this is what happens.
I don't
just jump right in it. Well, the 95 to 99% of the demonstrations, people expressing their freedom of speech and their right to assemble, 99% of it is peaceful. We've done it for a long time. It's the basis for how our country is built. But yes, the people that take advantage of an opportunity because for whatever reason, they see an opportunity to steal something, they just want to create violence, they want to create controversy, create havoc, they take advantage of it. And of course, the news films that. And it's amazing when the news sees this for 2 or 3 days, and even a commentator will say, and of course our cameras are following that too because we're going to show you any crime in action. And they're actually talking about it out loud. But meanwhile, there's a lot of peaceful demonstrations going on too. So, but what I want to bring it back to is, we had I got a message from someone on Sunday saying, hey, there's a rally on that's going to happen at 4:00 on Sunday. And the weird thing was that the person sent me the message, and I won't name who they were, but they're like kind of riled up going, man, they better not make any of that crap happens here. And I'm like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? at the end of the day, people are going to go do what they want to do. It's a matter of, as a group, conscious of what they do as a group out there, as how they behave. So I'll just say this, that I believe that we live in a fantastic place. The Panhandle of Florida, the Gulf Coast, the Emerald Coast, that a lot of things happen in this country, and let's face it, this is a very politically minded area. It leans one direction. I know I lean the complete opposite direction, but I believe that the discourse, the conversation, is grounded most of the time. It's very it's more respectful. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we are in the military. It goes back to the military community.
Right.
We also get a lot of opinions from all over the country because, we have the prettiest sand in all the world. So when people come here, we get a lot of diversity as far as the country is concerned. A lot of opinions, both quickly here for the weekend, and a lot of people move to the area. I moved here some 30 years ago.
Absolutely. I was stationed here, and this is where I ended up.
Yeah, so all I can say is, I hope people, I say at the end of the show, stay rational, my friends, because at the end of the day, violence doesn't do any good no matter what. Violence started.
Agreed.
Violence totally ignited what we're watching on TV. And that's the root of the problem. And my favorite little meme that I see is that people say, when they say, it's terrible that this looting is happening, but they'll say it's unfortunate that a man was killed, but this looting has to stop. And the other way around, it should be, in my opinion, is it's terrible this looting is happening, but this violence against people has to stop. Because to me, the root of this is how we respect our neighbors.
I think the word respect is all of it. I mean, if you go back to the John Lennon, hey, can't we all just love everybody?
Yeah.
But really, love doesn't come without respect. And if you don't respect other people's thoughts and opinions and stuff like that as well, and also agree that you can disagree.
Right.
But it doesn't have to revert to violence.
I just got a message on the way in the door as you and I were getting started here, and a friend, not just a friend on Facebook, but somebody that I personally know. He doesn't live in the area anymore, but he goes, I just hope this stuff. He's like, Chris, how do you expect us to deal with this violence? And my answer was, well, I think we should deal with this violence with communication, use our big words here, and have conversation both nationally and locally, but at the same time use authority correctly. And his answer was, well, I just don't think there's any other way. Violence is the only way to end violence. And I ended that debate with, at least in my opinion, I ended the debate with, I think Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi would disagree with you because they proved that there is a better way, but it just takes a little bit more of a consciousness.
Well, I mean, that's been part of the problem. I mean, I can understand within the day or 2 days after that happened, but it just seemed like it just kept getting bigger and it's not that necessarily that the peaceful protests.
You're talking about it's carrying
we're
on.
not bad, but the fact that as soon as the sun went down, it got violent.
Well, that's usually, when you put a big group together without leadership, and whether that's a national voice or whether that's leadership in the moment. The herd mentality. We talked about the herd mentality when it came with the virus. Now you got the herd mentality with, how the herd reacts. I've been in the bar business all my life, and I used to make the joke, you don't let the herd decide where the trough is to feed them. You got to put the trough out so the herd knows where to go. And I think in this case, if you put a collection of people out there, and right now there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of people that are upset. And there's a lot of people that are confused, and without some leadership in the moment, that's an opportunity. That void is an opportunity for people to do some.
I totally agree.
Stupid.
I mean, there are people coming out to protest, but there should be the same people like, guys, yes, I understand that this is an issue, but you don't have to go into research. You don't need to poke the bear. You don't need to provoke.
And I think what you started to allude to for a second there was that a lot of these this is now going on for 3 or 4 days, and I think we all agree it doesn't look like it's going to end soon.
It's a full week.
Yeah, it's going to keep going, and I think that refers back to look, you and I debate off the screen often, and then we don't necessarily agree, but a lot of times we do. But in this case, I go back to leadership, and usually. This is where we need somebody to say some very profound things to get people to calm down but then you've got to follow that up with some immediate discussion of why we are where we are. And we know we've just ignored it for a long time. I'm hoping that 2020. It's funny that 2020 is hindsight is 2020. I hope that the cliche of that comes true, and that we really take a moment to look at our society and go, we got some problems that we have to really man up. And no disrespect to using the phrase "man up," but we really have to just address some difficult topics to go forward in the world. The virus exposed a lot of flaws. We've debated it: economic flaws, social flaws, medical flaws, health coverage flaws. So that virus, and then along comes the economic disparity, because now the economy was shut down, and so now there's 40 million people that are jobless, and we debate about whether people are going to come back to work or they want to come back to work. Hey, there's a lot more underlying issues that create that. But at the end of the day, I'm thrilled you and I are even having a discussion right here, because to me, having that ability to have the discussion is somewhat, what's the word I'm looking for? It alleviates the pressure of each individual. Being able to share how you feel about it, what it means to you. You don't have to agree with me, but if you allow me to say it and I allow you to say it, we've done that a couple times in here pretty heated, and sometimes I joke you that we should leave it recorded because the people can see that,
As a matter of fact, every time he walks in, we start recording, because
from now on we should, because
some of the stuff that we talked about before the show actually starts.
I make no bones about it. I'm very opinionated. It goes back to the fact that I've always been very, from people in my little resume, I go back to when I was in Virginia. I campaigned for the first African-American governor of the state of Virginia, Doug Wilder. And it was an experience because I was a student body president of my school, and I got very involved. I didn't even know what policies I really wanted done as a 20-year-old kid, but I got involved in the process. And that was a priceless experience to me, to be involved in the process of how governing works and how you build the people.
And at 20 years old, that's very rare, because even today's kids, they're kind of like,
yeah,
I don't vote.
Yeah,
I had one of my relatives is like 20, 21, 23 or something. Recent relative,
right?
In-law, sort of. And he's kind of like, I can't believe this and this, but I don't vote. And
right.
I'm like, why? Well, it's not going to make a difference. It does make a difference, but also intelligent conversations, not just. He would just hang on to like, what's one thing? I'm like, but what about these other facts as well? But
right.
What about this one thing? And says, but what about these other facts? And we kind of had a little bit of a discussion there, to the point where it's kind of like, let's just walk away,
right?
Take a breath.
The
and
art,
alcohol, it doesn't help.
No, perfect. The art of the discussion is a dying talent, or just a dying art, because these things right here. I mean, here, even you and I in a discussion, I'm looking down here to see if we have comments, because to engage in guests. But at the end of the day, I'm having a real dialogue with you. So that should be all that really matters. And if anything came out of our non-topic show today, that maybe we pass that message on, that your focus needs to be the people closest to you. That start with your loved ones, your friends, your community. Start with there. You think globally, but you act locally. And if you take your opinions globally, yours and mine are different. But we can sit right here and have a conversation, whether it's, we don't have to start right into tax code. Heaven forbid that blows up, okay? But it doesn't have to be about even race relations. But at some point in time, we're two white guys, older white guys. We're not going to understand necessarily every culture's opinion and feeling out there. So eventually you bring in more opinions and dialogue, and it's called, you learn. You kind of get an education. And I go back to when I was 20 as a student body president. There was a riot in Virginia Beach, and during spring break, and I happened to be, as the one time at spring break I stayed at school, I had a job in Virginia Beach. And as a student body president, I was interviewed by the paper, and that was the beginning of my race relations experience and public relations. And it was, man, I look back on it, RJ, and it was amazing. It helped form my patience. Look, I know I'm opinionated. I know I will debate anybody. I don't believe I am always right. But I am going to say things that if I disagree with you, to try to elevate what you're saying to me. So either I understand more, or challenge you to learn more. And that's and I think that's fair in any discourse. That's what makes this country what it is, that we have that freedom to say what we need to say. And
taking a lot of the like the Carnegie rules for listening is like, okay,
took that twice, RJ.
Yeah, I read the book way back when.
I took Dale Carnegie twice.
And it's kind of like sometimes people keep arguing the same thing because they don't think you're listening to what they say. So if you find a way to just reiterate, okay, you're saying this and this and this. All I am saying is that here's another element to it.
That's right.
And just open your mind to that. Yeah. But first, they have to feel comfortable that you are listening to them.
Yes.
This is
a valuable phrase, what you just said, and that Dale Carnegie I always go back to, is learning how to say, I understand what you're saying. Don't follow that with the word but. Learn how to say what you want to say without saying, because that immediately creates conflict.
Right.
So, but learning to say, you may be right. That at least diffuses someone's, I want to force my opinion on you. You say your opinion, you may be right. And that says exactly that. You may be right. I'm not the judge to say if you're right or wrong about something. Now, when you have factual information, well, then you have to be able to present that factual information in a sound way. And anyway, just in this little few minutes of us having this conversation, hopefully if anything comes out of our topicless show, that or guestless show, I should say, because the topic is definitely a topic. But
I'd like to thank our guest, Chris Simmons, for joining us today.
RJ, I'll be honest with you. Doing this show, you and I have talked about this concept for a while. A year, various things.
And I've always wanted to have the city's concept, and also being able to focus on what's happening locally.
And so that's why
I love this combination. Because we have, and the fact that we are sometimes
but when
slightly varying views of things.
When you brought it up, and I said, hey, we had a peaceful march over the weekend, you kind of shuddered a second. But at the end of the day, we demonstrate that we can have a conversation.
Only because I did not know that.
Oh, I'd be scared of me
I didn't,
too.
I mean, basically, I never really kind of watched the news.
I guess what I was getting to is I'm going to give you a compliment.
The daily news is what kind of keeps me happening. What happened yesterday, locally. Though there's not a lot. Their staff is getting.
Yeah, and that's another thing. We fall back on these, and we lose our local paper. We lose those letters to the editor. But I thank you for the opportunity to have this show. First, I commend you for being willing to tolerate me and to learn where my squirrels go, so to speak. But I also have a lot of gratitude for the idea of doing this, because coming on here and saying my piece for a minute or two, even with you or to our guests, and maybe throw in a comment about the subject, because the pandemic is something, the cases are growing in this county. And we talked about that prior to the show. And you pointed out, is it because there's more testing? And I said, is it because there's more visitors and we've opened up and gone, we're busy now?
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes to both.
Yes.
The answer is yes to both. So, the premise to the show was pandemic life carried forward in this beautiful panhandle, and highlighting people in our community. So if you want to be highlighted in the show, if you have a business, it's not about just being a sponsor. Reach out to us and come. If you got something to say, this is your show too. So come, give us some commentary. If you see some people that are in the paper that that really accentuate and represent the Emerald Coast. There's a reason I stayed here. I came here by accident 30 years ago, and I've never left. It's beautiful. I mean, I love the concept of the Emerald Coast and what it represents within the country. And we kind of live in a bubble, in a sense, because we're away from any major city.
And kind of a little bit of a bubble is also from the fact that one of the things I've always pointed out as I was growing up is that I've always sort of been either I was involved with in a Catholic school, so racism never really kind of came
Yeah.
into there.
Yeah.
And then I went into the military where it's not tolerated, and you get to work work.
It's
on
like
top.
you
So
went
we
from
don't-
doesn't
Right.
exist
So-
to
and
the
so-
fact that
so
you just
coming
went right
to this
through
environment
it.
as well, having
Yeah.
the huge military presence we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
allows us to be more diversified and maybe a
Yes.
little bit more intelligent about what we think about other people.
Yeah, yeah, and but it really comes back down to tolerance and respect, the word that you highlighted right in the very beginning. And if you put those together, at the end of the day, I think these protests are necessary. The violence is not. The violence on both sides, on the side of the authority and on the side of the participant. It's not. I don't think it's a Republican Democrat thing out there in the protests. I think it's more of it's now we the people and the authority, and we the people have something to say. And my moral of the story always is go vote. If you don't vote, and if I know you don't vote, I kind of look at you and go, why are you complaining? I get it if you feel your vote doesn't matter, and it's ironic in this county in the panhandle of Florida where hanging chads became famous, some 20-some years ago, that I get that debate, but at least you have to have that little sticker to me. It matters, I believe, because that is your civic duty. But from there, we the people have some things to talk about, and our representatives need to do a better job of representing us. And again, that goes back to representing us locally and then thinking globally. We are not New York City. We're not Atlanta. We're not LA. We're this pretty beach. And, with this fantastic military base right here and this great water and in this along this Gulf Coast. And there's a lot to be said. Anyway, I could ramble on and on. So you never did your.
And we're sort of out of time for
you
rambling.
never even did
though.
your shameless plugs, and you never even did your calendar.
That's fine.
We're on Facebook. We're on
Facebook.
Roku. We're on YouTube.
The last thing I just want to say is that I did get a chance to go to a couple of casinos in Biloxi, and if you want to get an idea about what it was like, I actually posted yesterday evening a little 6-minute update with some stealthy in-casino footage.
Were you taking photos in a casino on the down low?
Video?
That'll get you in trouble.
Yeah, I was actually using my 360 camera to be able to walk because nobody could see. I'm not pointing to anything, and I was able to kind of capture a few things.
Such a nerd.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and sign off.
Of course,
now.
next time, let me go with you. I play blackjack. I'll count cards. You bring that camera.
And we're going to go ahead and sign off, and we'll catch you guys
tomorrow. Okay, back to normal. Stay rational, my friends. Please. Heck yeah.